Hello. Looks like quite a good number of connected now, so I'll kind of get started. And yeah, today we're going to be looking through how to forecast for SMEs. It's going to be maybe a bit of a different one to the recent webinars I've been doing. So we're going to run through the white paper that's been recently produced, written for the kind of SME market. We're going to run through that to get a good understanding for kind of where your clients are at, really, I suppose, and to kind of further back it up with some stats and research that has been undertaken, and then to look at how we can kind of run through solutions for those kind of pains really that your clients are facing right now. Um, as always, obviously you can see I'm working from home, so the standard things that you might have heard me on previous ones, making you aware that I do have a small dog that likes to bark at random things, but hopefully he will behave himself. And it does look a little bit dark outside at the moment, and my light isn't the best, but hopefully you can see me and hear me clearly. If we do drop out for whatever reason, not that we have yet, touch wood, then we'll just reconnect. But this session is recorded as well, so I'll send out a recording, as I always do, as well as any of the material I think could be relevant for you guys. So I think that white paper that we'll go through, I'll share that again, and anything else that we cover really that I think will be useful. So you'll get all the information following today. So hopefully that will be all good. And obviously, as I'm sure everyone's aware now, having gone to many webinars over the last few months, I'm sure, we've got the Q&A function in Zoom, which certainly feel free to use that. I'll probably come to that at the end of the session, but feel free to kind of ask questions as we go. And we've got the full hour booked out, but we probably won't need the full hour, to be fair. We'll probably just, I don't know, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. We'll just see how much we need, but we do have the full hour. If there are loads of questions or if there's loads of things to cover, at least we've got the time there. And yeah, good to see some familiar faces on the call. I can see Martin and Rosie, among others as well. And yeah, I should have introduced myself, I suppose. I'm Sam, for those that don't know me. I head up the account management team here at Futrli. And yeah, Thursdays at 4 o'clock has now become kind of the how-to webinar session, which I've been running weekly. So hopefully today, like I said, it's going to be on how to forecast for SMEs, and hopefully we get some value out of that. So I'll share my screen, and as I said, we're going to start with the white paper, which I'm effectively just going to read through, and then hopefully bring it to life a little bit. So let me just share my screen. Cool. Hopefully you can see that. So yeah, this is the white paper that's been recently created from the account managers, actually, all around how to forecast for small businesses. So for your clients, for your SMEs, and it's written at that perspective of your clients. So something you could even send out to your client to kind of further kind of make them aware, I suppose, of the issues that they face. Because something that I've been speaking with a lot of my partners in the last kind of few weeks or so, cash flow is incredibly important for business owners right now. We're in another lockdown, clients are potentially closed or affected by it. And the candidates I've been speaking with obviously understand that, because certainly your expertise in that financial area, but it's then making the client aware that looking past their bank account is required. Just having something in the back of a fact packet, or if they've got enough money in the bank, that's probably not enough to ensure you have a sustained, healthy few months. So this is why we kind of wrote this, is to kind of give further light and further explanation for small business as to why having a close grip on your numbers is really important. So let's just run through it. So why cash flow matters to you, the small business owner, your client. So being a small business owner is tough. Long hours, hard work, sleepless nights are all side effects of running your own business. None of this is made any easier by the fact that not only you're expected to manage the day-to-day handling of business matters, but also become something of a finance expert as well. So researchers at the London School of Economics have said that the two biggest obstacles facing small businesses are access to financing options and poor financial management practices. So according to Xero, 90% of small businesses that fail do so because of cash flow management issues. However, research done by the venture capital firm Albion Ventures says that only 1 in 5 SMEs cite cash flow as a major concern for them. It's crazy, isn't it? Kind of like I was saying at the beginning of the call, that you guys, the accountants, the people I've been speaking to the last few weeks and beyond, obviously understand that clients need to have a close grip on the numbers. So kind of backed up by that that kind of stat there, that they fail a lot of the time because they don't have a close grip on the numbers. They're not taking up a service that you can provide. They're not kind of close to the support that you can really help them with. And one in five of those guys don't have anything in place. So it really highlights the gap as it continues here between the sector's awareness and the threat that it poses. So it's important to consider that even profitable businesses can be critically impacted by not keeping a close eye on money flowing in and flowing out. So you may have stuck rigidly to your budget and the profit and loss seems positive, but if your outstanding invoices haven't been paid before your bills are due, then there are going to be issues down the line. QuickBooks research has found that UK small businesses have on average over £31,000 in debt owed to them. Another study by QuickBooks showed that UK small business owners are losing 26k on average by being forced to turn down work due to problems directly caused by insufficient cash flow. So that means that the average SME is almost 60k out of pocket at any given time due to poor financial management practices. This is having a huge knock-on effect on the economy, as SMEs account for 99.9% of all private sector businesses and 60% of private sector employment. So the corona effect, I think we all can agree that 2020 has been a year to remember for the wrong reasons. Cash in the bank has never been as crucial as it is now, while COVID continues to sweep through the country, threatening supply lines and pushing small businesses to their limit. The Office of National Statistics is reporting that 1 in 4 businesses has less than 3 months worth of cash reserve, and 1 in 20 has no cash reserve at all. And these statistics are just the businesses that are still trading. Across all industries, they have found that 1% of small businesses have permanently ceased trading. And even now, many months after the initial lockdown, 10% are still not trading, with no plans to reopen in the near future. So the government has attempted to ease the cash flow concerns of SMEs, but only 22% of businesses that applied for government-backed loans have been accepted. So it seems that the majority of small business owners are going to have to fend for themselves. So forecasting for your business. The key to cash flow management is a keen eye looking forward at all times. The first step in creating an accurate and reliable forecast and maintaining it. This will not only help you to plan future decisions, but will also alert you to any surprises that may arise and allow you to make the necessary changes before it's too late. So knowing what your cash position is going to be in 2 months' time will allow you to connect your business's seasonality, any upcoming payments, and your financial security at any point. So Futrli Predict will provide you with this early warning system by pulling through your existing transactions and balances from Xero or QuickBooks and analyzing it with the same logic that your accountant, you guys on the call, would, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's like having a tiny accountant in your laptop all the time. I think this is quite a key point here, because the partners that I speak with, certainly there's a kind of a range of client portfolios, for example. The majority of people that I'm speaking with have got advisor in play. So you have an advisor for that top tier, that maybe 10, 20% of your clients, which you are working quite closely with. You are building out reports for them, building out that kind of long-term strategic budget. But then for your other clients, your non-advisory clients, then that's where we do need some additional support. These are the clients we don't speak to as much because they're smaller. Maybe they don't require that kind of top tier service, that report that you could build out for them. So therefore, they would benefit from a hands-off solution, which allows them to have some fantastic logic that Predict really kind of gives them. We then think that combination of Predict, that next-gen software that really allows them to kind of have insight into the numbers, as well as maybe a once-a-month check-in call with their accountant, that is a kind of a winning solution, really. So what business owner that's having these cash flow issues over the coming months wouldn't want that? Effectively, you as their virtual accountant in their pocket that they can open up every single day, as well as you in a kind of once-a-month check-in call. That's kind of how we see it going. And I think that's a really good tactic with these guys that, as we can see from some of the stats, are kind of in danger or have a lot of impact at the moment due to their cash flow management. And just continuing with it, Predict looks at all invoices and bills that are expected and shows you the impact they will have on your finances, allowing you to plan around them. So it's a living forecast. Of course, we know how much the life of a small business owner can change from day to day. So that is why Predict changes with you. It is a living forecast that will adapt to any changes that it pulls in from your bookkeeping software. An accurate forecast also allows you to test current decisions as well as plan for future ones. Some things that might seem like a no-brainer at the time can have a butterfly effect on your finances down the line. For example, when to invest in stocking up your business, when to increase salaries, when to invest last month's profits. Predict's forecast items allows you to see the real effect of any effect of these long-term decisions way before you need to make them. Testing these decisions allows you to be truly confident in the decisions and the choices that you make. Even the best laid plans can be waylaid. So it is important to have a tool that can tell you reliably that you are getting back on track in between meetings with your accountant. So once your forecast is up and running, the next thing to turn your attention to are debtors and creditors, because I bet I can guess which list is longer. According to Xero, 64% of SMEs have had invoices go unpaid for 60 days, and only 50% of companies are paying their invoices on time. There are several things that can be done about this, but first you have to know who your repeat offenders are. So Futrli's Flow analyzes all invoices, bills, and payment dates pulled in from QBO or Xero to create customer profiles that can help you distinguish between the good, the bad, and the ugly. You're not a money lender to your customers, unless you actually are. So it's important to work out which customers are treating you that way, especially if you are actually a money lender. It may be time to start negotiating payment terms with these clients to get them to start paying on time. Set up invoice reminders before the payment is due, and don't be afraid to chase for the payment after it's overdue. These are payment terms that they've agreed to, and they need to be held to them as such. Flow also includes invoice protection by Hakodo, which is invaluable in the current climate as supply lines drop out. Large companies not paying small companies has become such a problem that the UK government has made it mandatory for large companies and LLPs to report on their payment practice. You can search these payment reports online if you're entering into a contract with any of these companies. Can be a valuable tool in shaping your payment terms with them. So it's a cruel world out there, as we kind of have alluded to here with COVID and everything else that's going on in the climate right now. And the cards are stacked against the SMEs, but you're not alone. Speak to your accountant about any extra assistance they can provide you by getting your data loaded into Futrli. You and your business are too important to not use every tool in your arsenal to help illuminate the path ahead. And that is the white paper. So like I said, it's kind of built out obviously for that SME, for your client to kind of really drill home, I suppose, the issues of that. And the solution that we have is the Futrli Platform, having Flow and Predict as that hands-off solution that you can then provide to your non-advisory clients to really start to protect them and understand where the business is going. I think that's a really key point there, is that we're distinguishing between the clients that maybe you're working really closely with, and then the other guys, the smaller guys, the ones that don't have any support in at the moment. This is the solution that allows them to have that real-time information at their fingertips, and then in tandem with their accountant can get the most kind of value and protection they need over these coming months. So I'll stop sharing. I saw one question come through via that, so let me just have a little look at that. I thought I did, but no, I didn't. Cool. In that case, I will share my screen and we'll take a little look at the Futrli Platform. So as I mentioned, that other solution that we can provide to those SMEs as that hands-off approach. All right. So actually, it was a comment from Sharon saying, "Sorry, I'm late." It's all good, Sharon. Good to have you here now. Cool. So I'll share my screen again. Cool. So here is Predict. So this is, for those that haven't seen it yet, the cash flow solution that was referenced, obviously, in that white paper. It's a plug and play solution that certainly you would have your account and you'll connect your clients to it. And if I just show you, all we do is to come to the organizations here. You click add organization, you type in the name of that client, you connect to Predict, connect to Xero or QuickBooks, and it will then sync away. It'll take a couple minutes depending on how big the organization is. And when it's then synced, we've then got all of this built out for us here. There's no need to build out any kind of charts or forecasts or kind of massive reports effectively. It's plug and play, is ready for us to use straight away. And it's therefore that client. So we're looking at Josie's Florist here. So we're going to assume this is one of your clients, is one of those SMEs that that white paper was talking to. And Josie at the moment doesn't have anything maybe in place. She is in that kind of non-advisory sector. She is kind of obviously concerned with how the kind of future months are going to go. So this is a solution that was able for her to then use on a daily basis to plan correctly, pivot to anything that happens in a business, and ultimately protect and lead to thrive in the future. And what we can see here at the top is the predicted cash. So if we scroll left, you can then see the actuals for the bank balance, and we can go right to have a look at our forecasted figures there. Hello, interesting. That is always great when that happens on a webinar. It might be because it timed out because I was doing that the white paper discussion. So let me just log out and log back in again. Apologies. Should really have some hold music whilst I do this. Anyone wants to sing, do feel free, even though you're on mute, but I wouldn't sing in front of you. My voice isn't the best for singing. Cool, we're back in the game. And I've selected the wrong one here. Wrong workspace. Bear with me one sec. Here we go. Ron's workspace. We're into Josie's Florist, the correct one. So hopefully we should now be kind of smooth sailing. Great, we're in. And as I mentioned, actuals to the left of predicted cash. And then on the right, we've got the forecasted figures that we can see dipping and changing over time, highlighted obviously by the color change. If we scroll down to the accounts here, we can see in the sales line, this is our profit and loss. So we can see Josie has 3 different revenue streams: wedding sales, so to her wedding contracts; corporate sales to her business contracts; and then shop sales, so clients are coming direct into a shop to buy the flowers. So fairly standard for a small business to have multiple revenue streams, so therefore adding that complexity. And what Predict is doing is combining the P&L and balance sheet with the cash flow, with invoices. So it's that hybrid element. So it's literally having everything within the business, because for those SMEs that are wanting to track their cash flow, we need a full business approach. We need an accurate approach for that client to understand how to plan correctly. So we've got our P&L items here. We can see how that's tracking over time. We can also see the cash impact. So we can see how it's then going to hit the bank. So we've got kind of 2 sides of the coin here. And if we go back to the activity line and open up wedding sales, we'll see we've got Futrli Predicts here. So that's the prediction that is built into the software the moment you kind of sync up the data. So the moment you connect up your client, what Predict will do is analyze all of the data in Xero or QuickBooks. So that's everything in the P&L balance sheet, how it affects the cash flow, all of the invoices and bills, the trends that it identifies, the seasonality. It will look at COVID, for example, and it won't reforecast COVID because it's not using AI, it's using specific algorithms and calculations. So it will identify certain areas and ensure that it's predicted them accurately. And what we can do to kind of further understand where that predictions come from, we can click on any of the figures, literally any of the figure that it's built out, and it'll tell us where that figure's come from. So we could do that both on the P&L side and on the cash side. So it will then tell us where these invoices have come from. And it therefore gives clarity for those clients which you aren't speaking to as much, because certainly they are a different profile of client, but also we don't have time, you don't have time as the accountant to speak with every single client, to be able to build out a report for every single client on a monthly basis, it's not going to be feasible. If you, for example, are a couple of accountants at a firm and you've got a couple hundred clients, we definitely can't build out a report for every single one because we don't have the time, and that client is a different sort of size, so therefore requires a different sort of service. So this is the plug and play solution, which allows them to be protected, to navigate where they're going, use it as a sat nav, and ultimately lead to better discussions and allow that trusted advisor relationship to flourish, I suppose. So we've got the future predict element here. As I mentioned, it's that combination of hybrid forecasting from the indirect and direct forecasting. So the direct element is the invoices. So we've got all of our due and overdue invoices in the invoices section here. And down here we can see for Josie all of the outstanding invoices. So on the status, this is everything that's in Xero. So an invoice is due in 4 days. But what she can do is change the invoice date to when it's actually going to be now paid, maybe due to different credit terms that she's agreed. We can then see the impact straight off the back of it. Or for example, an invoice has become so overdue that it's been written off, we can just exclude it. Or maybe then it's going to be included again, depending on whatever's happening. So effectively, as I mentioned, Josie is able to kind of respond and pivot really quickly to what's going on in our business. And then in those monthly discussions that you have with Josie, that 10-minute kind of check-in call around predict and around kind of her general business setup, whatever it might be, we can then have a more informed discussion, and we can look through where business is going, and we can really add that extra layer of support that you have from knowing her business and working with her over however long. If we then jump to the financials, we'll then see the indirect forecasting element, our P&L balance sheet, and then also the cash flow. And because we're combining both of those, the direct forecasting, invoices and bills, with the indirect P&L balance sheet, that means we're looking at everything in the business. So items like VAT is going to be handled accurately. So if we get to the balance sheet, we can then see the accumulation of VAT here. So I know that there's other kind of plug and play elements on the market, and looking at the direct, because direct is obviously important for the short term. But to have that full business approach, so we can then ensure that we're looking at everything in the business. So everything from VAT to invoices to the cash impact, we need to, like I said, have that hybrid element there. So therefore, Josie is able to see on a daily basis the updating VAT bill. And that'll be a combination of actuals and forecasted figures. And because Predict syncs twice a day, it therefore means that this will be as up to date as it literally can be. And if Josie has deferred her VAT, we can also whack it in here, and it will then update and be able to amend it easily, because I know that's obviously something a lot of your clients would have done, and it's a really easy setup really to ensure that that's kind of added into the forecast. And if you then go back to the home screen, because we've got this future predicts line here, what we can do is then add your own prediction to it. So there's one here, as if I made earlier, which you can then turn on. And this then allows us to, I'll get back to where we were, have it kind of as a scenario bottle. So you could be like, okay, if I sell this new product, and this is what it might look like, but what happens if I don't? What's the impact? Or what happens if I don't take that employee on, or if I don't get that loan, or whatever it might be? We can really start to use the toggle feature. And we've got a variety of different predictions, depending on what you want to build through. And if I just quickly run through what each of these do, you've got a freestyle. So if I just call this freestyle, this is just fairly straightforward. You can just type in the particular amounts that you need to for each month, whatever it might be. Click on the tick, and then pop up a little modal to tell us when we want that to be stored. So the last day of the month is the default, 20% VAT is the default. On the VAT element as well, we have both accrual and cash VAT. So you can literally account for any of your clients in that kind of non-advisory sector, those clients that need that support. We should hopefully have them covered with the options, I suppose, within Predict. And then on this freestyle element, we've got the cash impact. So if it's same day or if it's maybe split over multiple days, is there a credit term on that? You can then apply that in there. That's the freestyle. We'll see that appear like that. Nice big jump. Josie gets 234,000 for the rest of November, which would be nice, wouldn't it? If I turn that off, we'll then see how nicely it then just switches into the trends there that we can start to see. And like I said, you can then start to model that, see the impact of what that might mean to the business. Then got the repeating, which is, as it kind of said on the tin, the same amount repeating each month. But we can then apply increases and decreases by having a percentage increase. So maybe you got 1,000 as your starting figure, and you can increase each month by a certain amount or by a certain percentage. So maybe it's going to be like a 5% growth each month. We then got the same on the cash impact, so we can then have various kind of credit terms if need be. Click update. We're going to see that populate through there. And then we've finally got the unit-based, which is a pretty cool one, where Josie and you are able to model in a forecast based off products or services. So maybe we're going to sell a new product. It's going to cost £10 per item. We're going to sell 150 a month. Maybe it'll be an introductory offer for the first couple of months. And there'll be then a price change in the new year, maybe to £15. And it'll be 175 a month. If we then hit update, we'll see that populate through here like that. So really giving the control to that business owner to start to model and really react to what's going on in their business straight away. And then in tandem with yourself as their trusted advisor, really start to plan correctly and stay on top of their numbers. So then those stats that I discussed at the beginning, we don't have that kind of failure rate that is so high, and we do have something in place to ensure that they can remain healthy over these next few months, and ultimately have a good kind of start to next year, I suppose, because we can make changes now to ensure that the kind of the impact isn't felt maybe in time down the line. So I think it's a solution that your clients can use to really start to model and plan and react to what's going on in their business. That's pretty much what I wanted to cover today. So I saw a couple of the questions come through, so I'll stop it there. Do feel free to use the Q&A function now, as I mentioned in Zoom, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions there. And yeah, one question that's come through is that would we use this for clients that are on advisor? So yes, in short, certainly it's a solution that could be used for any of your clients. But we certainly see at the moment, if you do have advisor in play, then fantastic. That's probably going to be with your kind of top tier client. So maybe your top 10, 20% of your clients. They're already getting some support. They're already understanding their numbers. We need to maybe think about how to protect those non-advisory clients, the clients that aren't getting anything. Those are the clients that maybe are more at risk because we don't speak to them as much, maybe because the service is different for what they require. Certainly, we can provide it as well to the top tier clients to give them extra in between the meetings, as it's said in the white paper there, that solutions such as Predict can be used for a kind of a sat-nav approach in between meetings with yourself, in between that report they get sent out. But certainly, we do think about protecting the other portfolio, and that's where we are kind of thinking it works best at the moment in the kind of current situation. That's actually the only one question that's come through. So you might feel free to ask me other questions when I send out the recording and the white paper as well off the back of this session. You'll always have the support team as well when you're working through anything in Futrli. I think they're even just on a website as well. You can just open up the chat widget and chat to them. But by all means, feel free to give me a shout and I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. So yeah, I'll be in touch. And as always, have a good rest of your day and I'll speak to you hopefully next week. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.